Welcome to another video tutorial from 2dgameartguru.com. Today I'm working in Affinity Designer to create a design based on triangles. I will use the pen tool, the node tool, gradients and alignment to create this dog based on a stock photo. I lock the reference image and lower the opacity. This is my guide to place my design on. I use the pen tool for the initial triangle. Adjust the stroke width and color. I don't want it to cover too much, yet be visible enough. To avoid gaps between the triangles, I duplicate the initial triangle and just move one node over to create the next triangle. And I repeat that process, creating shapes that make sense with the design, the color or the texture. I place the triangles to match the white of the fur and the nose. I'm making my way down one side. This is a rather repetitive task, so I did speed up the video while I duplicate and adjust more triangles. The face is nearly symmetrical. I will try and work one half and then duplicate it over to the other half. As long as I select all the triangles, I can move clusters of nodes where there's 3 or 4 nodes in one spot by selecting all shapes and then going in with the node tool and selecting that cluster of nodes so I don't create gaps while moving connected triangles. With one half done, I duplicate the triangles on the left, mirror them, place them on the other side, and to avoid overlaps, I clean up the shape on the left and delete some of the triangles before placing them next to the existing ones using the snapping, which does not always work. To make sure I place the nodes in the exact position, I go in with the node tool and align the nodes. Alignment works the same on nodes as it does on vector shapes. You can select a bunch of nodes, go in and align them horizontally and vertically to make sure they are in the exact same position. For some reason, I get curves when I connect the nodes. I quickly select those and set them to sharp, which straightens the lines, or so it should. Let's do that again. Align the nodes vertically and horizontally. And then straighten the lines and straighten the top bit as well by clicking on the Convert Sharp. I continue with the ears, duplicate more triangles, move the nodes to create the shape of the left and the right ear, and finally fill out the area of the nose. With the amount of lines on the screen, it's really hard to see if I covered everything. I switch the stroke to the fill. It shows me that I missed 2 segments. You can see some gaps where the nodes don't align properly, so I go in with the alignment and align those. There will still be visible lines due to the way the screen is rendered. Those are visual issues. You might want to check your preferences to see the view quality. In the Performance tab, there are a few options. Maybe set that to best quality, as well as the rendering. Mine was set to automatic. You can probably try the higher setting. I split one triangle at the eye to give me more options when it comes to coloring, and that's pretty much all of the dog's face covered. it's time to add some color. I pick a color from the photo and alter it slightly, take a little bit of the red off, lower the saturation and increase the lightness. I move the reference photo to see where the shading should go, and then go in and mark the main areas, which are the mouth and the nose. I try and keep my colors somewhat consistent, so I'm making little color swatches on the side. That way I can quickly pick them when changing my gradients. Using gradients allows me to add variation, different colors in one triangle, as well as work on the shading. Rather than do each triangle individually, you can assign the gradient to multiple triangles and then adjust it later. And no matter how often I tell you to remember to save, I don't do it myself. I am more than half an hour into the project and I have not saved it. It's about time I save, and try to save frequently. Ideally, you want to save at the very start when you have a blank document, and then just press Ctrl or Command S while you make progress. It's starting to look like a dog and you get an idea of the style, even with about half the triangles still unshaded. This might seem like an exercise in patience. It actually is a lot of fun. I find it really relaxing to play around with the gradients and slowly see this dog evolve. I will call the base shading done for now. I'm just quickly organizing my layers and create a new layer for details on top, using one triangle and just placing them at the very top to create the finer details like single hairs or highlights. I could have tried to integrate them into the design. It would have taken a lot longer. This video has been reduced due to the time speed, but while working on it, it took about an hour to record. To me, that's about the limit of what makes sense for a tutorial video. I add 2 triangles for the highlight, keeping with the gradient shading so they don't stand out too much. For the smaller details, I stick to plain colors. Larger triangles might get a gradient so they do blend into the triangle that they start from. It's a matter of duplicating the detail, spreading it where I want more detail to show. Mainly the edges where you want to show that it is fur rather than a clean surface. The ears have long hair, so I'm going to add some shapes in there. I don't add every hair. It's about reduction and using as little detail as possible. I adjust the color using the color picker and picking the color from the triangle that I attach the detail to. There are still areas that it could do with a bit of tweaking, but I will call it quits at this stage. I'll try and fix the see-through hairlines, especially in the darker areas and the tongue, by creating a silhouette shape. I duplicate all shapes, combine them with a Boolean add, use a break apart and delete all but the main shape. It gives me a lot of lines in between. I go in with the node tool, quickly clean those up. I just want a rough shape behind my design. I place this silhouette layer below my design and give it a slightly darker color. I can also use it as a shadow shape. I'm not too sure about that one. I'll leave it off for now. That's it. That's the triangulated dog design. I used the pen tool for the initial triangle, then went in with the node tool, a lot of duplicating, used gradients and the alignment to create these simple shapes. I did the goldfish earlier, working with the same principle, creating the shapes, filling them in, and using the gradient to add a little bit more shading. If you want to have a play with this, start with a simple shape. Use a reference image of a fruit or an egg or a glass, and then work with the triangles. Get a feel for how to break it into triangles. Add the shading. Have fun with it. The amount of triangles used for the dog isn't that high. That's about 240 shapes. I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something new. If you did, please subscribe to my channel, leave a like, click on the notification icon, and I will see you again soon.